All right, here it is. Something real, something I'm a little more happy with. This is the LEGO Life Master Build Challenge that started out with a pile of what looked like pretty much random parts. They weren't entirely random, but kind of felt completely random to me with lots and lots of colors. I went and just dove in and made some stuff from those parts, a bunch of little things to kind of get myself started, to make sure that I didn't start the project with a big case of writer's block, or in this case, builder's block, and block with blocks. And then I came back and built this. Something that is a little more substantive. This did leave a bunch of parts behind, but I'm a lot happier with this than the kind of pile of random builds made from random parts. It's a container ship with a dock and a crane and a few little accessories to go with it. Like I said, this did leave quite a number of pieces behind, but I'm happy with the fact that I really got something substantive, kind of complete out of that very random looking selection of limited pieces, and used some interesting building techniques, some little substitutions and such. This was mostly done in one sitting also, but I did come back in a second sitting to do some kind of touch-up work, some little final bits to fix up the bow of the ship, to just experiment with different shapes for that, and also to finish up just a few little details on the crane. So let me start with the ship itself, and this pretty much told me what to do after I had built my first selection of random little things. I had the blue, and I saw the wall pieces that kind of look like the sides of a ship, and I had put some of the 2x4 blocks together, which made them basically just tell the whole story to me right then and there. Plus, I like container ships, so it all just kind of came together. This started out with the hull. I did the sides first, again just trying to fill in as much space as possible with the pieces of mostly one color that I had available. And then I worked on the superstructure. I did a complete redesign of that once, so this is the second major version of it, and then came back and worked on the bow, got the faux containers in various ways. There's some hollow space inside of here, and worked on just different ways to save pieces anywhere that you don't actually see something from the outside. I tried not to put any stuff in there. There's a lot of hollow space throughout this entire thing. It's not the most sturdy thing. I mean, I can pick it up and move it around, but it's not the most sturdy thing around, that's for sure. It has a flat underside. It's mostly covered up down there. It actually does have a deck that goes all the way from the front to the back, and it has a stern section that's mostly covered up, a little bit of studs on the side construction there, but that kind of works, I think. The bow definitely has the most work that was put into it, just to try to get some shaping into it that would be somewhat reasonable. Again, limited by the pieces, a couple anchors hanging off the sides, and offhand I forget the name of this, but it would have marker lights on it, and this is just a little barrier that on these ships in real life they have at the front. They also have one here. I didn't have space to put one on the back, just ran out of length. But the superstructure is decent in size, a little bit more colorful than I would like, but I got the marker lights on there, port and starboard, a little bit of overhang, got the big old smokestack on the back, got some instruments up on top, including another light mast, and this is here used to represent a radar unit that's able to spin. I used a couple of the printed eye pieces towards the build of the side here, so you can see the tile right there. That's an eye piece. There's another one over here as well. These represent just little extensions, little walkways for navigators, dock navigators, to be able to come out closer to the edge to see exactly where they are, and help to just have good good sight lines. A little bit of space in front, no space in the back, unfortunately. Just, again, ran out of length here. But that's pretty much it for the ship. I'm decently satisfied with this for what it is and for how many limitations that I had with the parts. I can take this bit off to show you how many different colors tend to be used in there. I used this 4x4 plate here just to expose the front of it. I really wanted to have just blue here shown from the outside rather than all these other different colors on the inside. So that's why this went through a few different iterations to get it to this point. That's actually a tile right there just to fill in some space. I originally put a 1x2 tile here and one on the other side. Those looked good, but I really needed the part there, and then there's just a little bit of support for the interior of that. This is just hinged up, but all of this worked out decently well, again, given the restrictions. But then I also was able to get a dock into this, which helped a lot, and that was important for me. I really wanted to get the crane in there, and this is kind of forced to stay. It's supposed to be a forklift. You can move the forks up and down, but the ship is not able to hit the docks directly because I used the bracket pieces to kind of create fenders on the sides, so to speak. This is a few pallets of cargo that are just there off to the side. This little truck looks a lot better than I thought it would for how small it is. Uses a couple of bushing pieces here, little half bushings, and then at the back I just put a couple of smaller wheels on there, so it's not able to be completely flat to the ground, but you can clearly see what it is. You know, just a flatbed truck. And then I also got rails for this crane. They're not long enough to go the full distance, but there's at least a suggestion for them there. Some cargo has already been offloaded here, is waiting to be sorted up from a previous ship. And then the crane itself has a little bit of articulation. You know, the boom can go up and down, and then you can also bring this forward and back. This is kind of just hanging here, so it really looks like it has a little bit of cargo that it's holding. Looks best from one side, and I left one out to kind of represent the fact that this is lifting that up presently. But it's a fun little look. It's an actual little scene, rather than being completely disparate things. But since I did have so many pieces left over, I wanted to force myself to stop at this point. But I did go ahead and make a couple more things, a couple random things on the side. So this is like a telehandler with either forks or some sort of grabber at the end. Obviously a completely different scale. Would have been nice to do something like this in this scale here. I tried to think of a couple possibilities, but it just would not work out. Really was held back by the lack of tires or things to represent tires. I think I had a pair of black studs in this entire collection of parts for this project, and that was it. So that just wasn't enough to cut it. But obviously this is able to go up and down. This is able to articulate here, and you can kind of squeeze things together so you can kind of actually grab stuff. And of course once again, not the most durable thing, but it's intended to have the look. And then I did want to do another helicopter because I liked that first helicopter that I made for its size. So I made one a little bit larger with a slightly different build, still the same basic inspiration, but tried to scale it up a little bit, have kind of the bubble canopy on the front, longer rotor here, went upside down here just for how that can be connected. And then the skids are done pretty much the same, except I'm not using the axle piece here, which I used at the front of the ship. So if I spin this back around, you can see that axle piece was used here, so I don't have two of those to use, and I figured if I don't have two of them, then it just isn't going to work out very well. So there's that, and there's that, and those are the things that I decided to make. And I'm happy with this for now. Will I do another kind of batch of builds with these parts? Possibly, maybe, but I think I'm satisfied for now. So I'll probably just kind of put this aside. I'll probably keep the parts together just for now, just in case I get inspiration to do this again with the same pieces, with the challenge of the limitations of the parts, which is a completely different process than building things just completely from your imagination and then getting the parts necessary, you know, to make that reality. But this was a fun challenge for sure. Thanks again to the LEGO Life team for extending it out to me. I will post these things up on LEGO Life as well, just to kind of close the loop there. And that is that. I'm going to move back to working on stuff that will actually be in my city when it comes to custom stuff. So definitely it is past due time to get back to that before another review season hits. So thank you for watching. Hope you've enjoyed this, and I'll talk to you again as soon as I can.